AskReddit by mastercl 2. People who are pro-gun, why? A crackhead broke into my apartment at 2 AM. He was hitting my door while I called 911. He broke my front door and started screaming about wanting money. He only left because my previously old and very chill dog started charging him and scared him off. The cops took 3 hours to respond and basically just asked if he stole anything, shrugged a lot and told me to ask my apartment complex about the busted door. They left and it was never addressed again. Even when the door was replaced, I never felt safe there ever again. I stayed up past 2 every night, checked windows and doors every hour, and always stayed at a friend's when my roommates weren't there. My home was no longer a safe place for me in my mind since I had first-hand proof that a 14-year-old dog was potentially the only reason I survived. My old dog isn't around anymore to protect me, so it's up to me to do that since I just got proof that the cops aren't going to do anything. Good dog. Protection. Simple as that. Used my Morse bug to chase out 2 home invaders who tied my sister and taped her mouth shut while I was asleep a few years back. Attempted to send one of them to the Holy Father. They are now doing 20 years in the pokey. That's sad, but WTF, I read that with a grumpy grandpa's voice out loud. Bullets are faster than police. Cops can't unrape you when they finally get there. My neighbor, 1985, was pro-gun because he watched his family get loaded into boxcars and sent to Auschwitz. He was sent to a work camp and was the only one in his family to survive. I used to see the 2A as a deterrent to not only defense to other enemy nations but to our own government. I'm not one who sits here thinking any day now, but I can't see what 100 years look like in the future. I don't think past Germans foresaw what would happen either. Now I'm starting to realize not only is a deterrent for our own nation, it's really the world. No other country has the power and influence that the US does. The logistics of the military throughout the world is just insane. I don't think anything would happen, but again, history finds a way to repeat itself with wealthy, powerful nations looking out for their interests and power. Because I had a crazy man threaten to kill my family repeatedly. Not taking chances. Same guy threatened to kill me multiple times and stalked my wife and left her love letters. Cops were useless in delivering a restraining order, so we wasted a lot of time with them. I took a gun safety class before purchasing my firearm, then I took a concealed carry class with training. Found out I enjoy shooting as a hobby and have been invested since. Survivor of domestic violence. I believe in protection. Yes. I am not a survivor of domestic violence. I have 2 clients who are, and one of them purchased a firearm with help from a police officer. The officer also took her the range and taught her how to use it. While I am not a fan of the police, and feel free to disagree, I thought that was an example of what potential police officers should do. Anyways. Keeping yourself safe and alive is absolutely why one would own a firearm. I hope you are safe now and your firearm is just in cases. Domestic violence, I'm not telling you this, just other editors, is nothing to fuck around with. As a suggestion, if you have an iPhone, just trust me, download the app Soothing Pod. It's 100% free. All the guided meditations and everything on there are free. There are so many for each type of feeling. If you don't have an iPhone, holler and I'll help find some other options to try. They are a useful tool for my work. Same here, we have to deal with cougars potentially attacking my horses and chickens. I don't want to fight one with a knife. Edit, as someone else mentioned in this thread. I'm also at least an hour from any help from police, or the like. So I'm my first, and often last line of protection for my property from animals, and on rare occasions people. We've had people break in before. It's not fun. Hence, guns. I'm a female that lives alone. This is my mom's reason too. She's even had to pull it out a few times. I'm black. When I was younger, living with my parents in a sketchy neighborhood, my house got broken into and the only reason the intruder left was because my dad pulled out the gun he had under the bed. It's for protection. When there's no time for police response, we are our own protection. We can only keep what we can defend. Our family, our lives, our property. Everyone should have one from 18 till the grave. The world is crazy. And it is never a bad idea to have more protection from any possible threats. My parents had a break-in and my mom was home. She had a bedside gun. She pulled it out and confronted the guy. He fled immediately. Had she not had a gun, chances are much higher that she would have gotten messed up, or I wouldn't have a mom anymore. Also, it is fun to go out on some property or a range and fire some rounds off. Yet protection and recreation to good reasons. My people were bombed and machine gunned in the mine wars. I'm very pro Second Amendment. My family also has a farm that's far from town. Goes without saying. Don't forget the phosgene and mustard gas. Not to mention those Baldwin Felts bastards executing 2 innocent men on the courthouse. That was such a sad chapter in American history. If there is a hell, that piece of shit Don Chaffin should have his own special corner. I enjoy eating venison. Coyotes enjoy eating my chickens. Target shooting is fun. I am a small woman who cannot take on a full-grown man, but my .380 can. I have had my life threatened in the past and been made to feel weak and defenseless. I now know how to safely operate a firearm and am comfortable doing so, and I no longer feel weak or defenseless. And because I can lol. Nods all through this reply. My family hunts. Guns help feed us. The delimit gives us meat all winter. As a dwarf, I have zero chance of defending myself from any intruder without a gun. And as I mentioned in another comment, the sad truth is, depending on where you live and who you are, police can be worse for you than the intruder. Yes, exactly. People don't get this, but what are we supposed to do? I stopped owning guns when I took up boating. I lost all mine in a boating accident as well. I like guns. I'm from Mexico. They are heavily regulated here, and that hasn't stopped cartels or anyone willing to buy one in the black market to keep shooting each other up on the street for God knows how long. I think people that are law-abiding citizens with no criminal record should be able to get a gun to protect themselves and their homes. That being said, even tough, there's a lot of guns on the street in my country. No one goes around shooting up schools or crowds just for the heck of it. That seems to be mostly a USA thing. People do shoot each other frequently here, but it's about a drug deal gone wrong or some vendetta, crime of passion and that kind of shit. Any guff that disagrees with your logic is already up to no good. Because cops don't stop crime. They just fill out paperwork after the fact. Took an hour for cops to get to my dad's house when there was a break-in. They were 5 minutes down the road. He and I were both in another city 45 minutes away. We beat the cops home. Because we live in a part of Austin that's in the midst of gentrification, was here well before that started. We're working class folk, and the local homeless population has figured out folks with money are now in this area, so robberies, break-ins and assaults are common occurrences in our area. I live with my wife and little daughter, and the police is awfully slow in our city. Teach them both proper use and safety of firearms. It will help everyone in the house. Better to have it and not need it to need it and not have it. Same way of thinking applies to the entire amendment. You don't have to be a doomsdayer to have just a shred of doubt in our police force or elected officials fucking up bad enough that we all need to protect ourselves at some point. Also, the entire pattern of history for every single nation on the planet teaches us it happens eventually. If you take away guns, women are severely disadvantaged when it comes to self-defense. Meanwhile in Canada, pepper spray is illegal to carry for self-defense against other people. I'll never get over that. Freaks me out, man. If bad people are going to break the law and use guns while doing it, why shouldn't I have one to defend myself with? Competition skeet and trap shooting. Deleted. Yep. And X200B. People forget that if you go far enough left, you get the desire for private gun ownership back. If a cop has the right to own a gun, why shouldn't I? Not just the police, though. Every single politician who screeches about needing more gun control is surrounded by a contingent of armed personal security with those scary high-capacity fully semi-automatic assault pistol weapons that the plebeians shouldn't be allowed to own. Rights for me but not for thee. At this point, they can't be effectively collected back. 3D printers are becoming more advanced, and if we can't control the smuggling of people and drugs, we aren't gonna stop the guns. I'd rather be able to protect myself from the bad people than have less of them around. Also, shooting ranges are fun. PLUT proved that 3D printers aren't even needed. Guns can be built quick, cheap, and with minimal tools or experience. I would rather legally have a gun than have criminals have guns while I don't. I don't trust our government enough. I don't trust criminals to not behave like criminals and obtain and use guns if they were to be banned. I'm a woman with young children and I don't want to be made a victim, nor my children. It is my job to protect them. You don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Criminals use guns. I'm not depending on anything other than a gun to defend myself. If we lived in a utopian society and guns weren't needed, that would be wonderful, but we don't. Literally just fun to shoot. Hunting. I strongly support the right to self-defense. It's my right. Any of the above, really. All of the above. I grew up in a very rural area in the West. My dad was a hunter and had guns, so I learned about them very young. So did my sister. So pretty much I'm a lifelong hunter and gun enthusiast. As an adult with a wife and kids, I am careful and use safes, but also have fast access to a secure AR platform rifle for home protection. It's my right and I'm going to exercise it. I was the victim of a random home invasion. The injuries I endured have altered my life since that night, including heart damages from their stun gun directly on my chest 4 minutes on end, plus scars from their knife. If only I had a firearm back then, it never wouldn't gotten that far. Now, having a family, I want to ensure nothing bad could ever happen to them like it did to me. Especially in our household. Because I can't trust you assholes not to try some shit. Because I'm queer and refuse to become a hate crime statistic. Edit. My first time receiving a reward. Thank you. Armed queers don't get bashed. Pink pistols. Not pro-gun, but pro-Second Amendment. Similar to how people say pro-life and pro-choice. And X200B. I am not pro-gun. I am pro-people should be able to own guns to defend themselves. I am pro-90-pound women should be able to fight off 250-pound rapists. I am in no way pro-kill people. That is pro-gun. Being pro-gun in no way, shape or form implies that you are pro-kill people. In America, the right to bear arms was to protect yourself against a tyrannical government. Firearms are secondarily used in hunting, protection, and sport. Surprised how far I had to scroll to find the most obvious reason for 2A. Like, sure, it's fun for sport and hunting, but ultimately that's just a perk and something we do. The main reason is this post right here. Because I paid attention in history class. I'm black, in suburban Tennessee, surrounded by people with entire armories in their homes. I'm talking about some with whole rooms devoted to multiple gun safes and rifles lined up all the way around the room. There are two supremacist groups within a 50-mile radius. So I and my family will not be surrounded by armed threats and bumbling gun nuts and be unprepared to defend ourselves. I don't love guns. But my life has value, my life matters, and I mean to defend it. As a Caucasian and what some might call a redneck from just south of you, I'm sorry you feel threatened. subgroups miss the entire point, and I don't understand how that still even exists at that level. Please realize that 99% of us good old boys are 100% on your side despite what some might say lead you to think. Cop here. I see a lot of comments saying something along the lines of police responses too slow and when seconds count, the police are only minutes away. And they're absolutely right. In a day and age when criminals feel emboldened to attack the general public and the general catch and release state the justice system is in right now, I believe a firearm is a universal equalizer. Home invaders almost always turn and run in the sight of an armed intruder. I'd rather respond to clean up the mess than to perform emergency first aid on a defenseless homeowner. Universal equalizer, I like that. My short answer to this is usually because I'm an American and have the Second Amendment and I don't give a fuck what you think. The real answer is because there are lots of bad people in the world. Many of them seek power and control by oppressing and harming others, including governments. I am not going down willingly to anybody and will kill someone before they harm my wife and kids if I have to. It's for protection. There are 7 billion people on the world and I might know 100 of them enough to trust them. Cause my family had to run away from people with guns in the Middle East under threat of death. Then when they ran to Russia, the communist revolution took place and those people with guns imposed their ways. Then in Greece they had to wait out WWII with Nazis and communists who wanted to impose their ways upon them, again with guns, until they finally landed in a free country. America. Now it seems like we just kill ourselves, so yay for that, but I'm still pro cause of what my family had to endure. I'm comfortable in an environment where those in power are scared of their constituents. I am 50 plus, liberal Democrat, veteran, and a gun owner. I believe that all eligible, sound-minded folks who want a weapon should have the opportunity to own one. But with ownership comes responsibility. You need to take a safety course and understand how your weapon works. You need to understand how dangerous they can be, both to yourself and others. And most importantly, you need to understand that you are responsible for that weapon. I also understand that not all people who have access to a weapon should have that access. I'm pro-freedom. Governments of the world have shown time and time again that they will oppress people to suit their own interests. An armed population is much harder to oppress. There's also plenty of other benefits, including self-defense against both people and wildlife, hunting, and general recreation. Cops use far less casual brutality on armed protesters. Cops keep their distance, they're respectful, and there's no confrontation. Unarmed protesters are beaten and gassed like it's a sport. Armed gays don't get bashed. Living in constant threat of my life. I'd rather be protected by a 45 Colt than a case pocket knife. An armed minority is a minority that is hard to oppress. Criminals won't stop getting guns. Only the law-abiding citizens would lose their guns, and it would not stop all of these shootings anyways, as the criminals illegally obtained those guns anyways. Lots of things flow into America from Mexico. Banning guns simply creates a demand for more smuggling cross-border. Used to live in a terror-infested part of my country and the government won't do shit about it if the cops won't protect me from guerrillas raiding my neighborhood, my house. At least let me protect myself. Edit. Wording. Deleted. Because the government should be aware it has a well-armed populace. I don't own guns, but have no issues with responsible people owning one for house protection. Banning guns ain't gonna stop us criminals from getting one themselves and causing havoc. Have you seen Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? A gun is literally my only chance if shit goes down with someone his size. Because I am gay and I refuse to let anyone hurt my husband or I because of their narrow-minded hatred. I also believe that everyone has a right to defend themselves and their family. I'm not pro-gun, I'm just anti-gun ban. It would never work. We share a border with a very crime-ridden country that would not hesitate to fulfill the demand for firearms if we banned them. The only difference then would be that only criminals would have them. How nobody is able to see this is beyond me. And before I get called out as racist, I'm Mexican. My family knows how the cartels function out there. We make something illegal, the cartels will turn that into profit. Second Amendment protects the rights of the citizens against a tyrannical government.